Hey guys, Scott Withers. I figured I'd do it in the bag before we get going for the season next week. We'll be in Vegas and then Phoenix the next 2 weeks, so I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little preview of what's in the bag now that we made the switch to Prodigy. I've been all Prodigy for 4 or 5 months now, and transition's going really well. So I'll get right to it. We'll start with the putters. First, I have my putting putters, which are the 300 series PA1s. I got a couple of them that are newer that I'll throw also, and then one that's a little more beat up that is also a little stiffer, and that is my actual putter. So these things are straight to overstable, especially these new ones. When you throw them, they're going to go straight for 200, 230 or 40 feet maybe if I try to throw them hard. I don't throw putters a ton. It's definitely something that I've started to do with these PA1s. They're better throwing putters than anything I've ever used. I can honestly say that, as I really didn't throw a whole lot of putters the last few years. After putting these PA1s in the bag, I definitely throw these things with more confidence than any other putter that I've ever had. So these two are identical 173, 300 series, and they're more of my throwing putters. I'll putt with them if I need to, but they're a little softer. I like that. The hit and stop, they're not going to go anywhere when they hit the ground. They have some give to them. It works out really well for throwing. Again, they're pretty straight to overstable putters. And then I'm putting with one of the Katrina Allen series. It's 174 grams, PA1, and when I putt with it, it pretty much goes straight with a little hyzer finish to it at the end. Other throwing putter is the 400S PA4. It's an understable putter. I can definitely throw it with a little bit of hyzer and it stands up, and will eventually glide a little right if I throw it hard. I can probably throw this one 260, 270, just like the PA1s. If I want to throw them harder, I can get them to go 300, but that's not really what we're trying to do with them. This definitely, if I put it on an angle to go right, it will go right and never come back left. On to mid-ranges, I'll start with my most overstable. I carry one 400 series M1. This thing goes straight and then basically down to the ground. I probably wouldn't try to throw it any more than 270. I could probably throw it 290 to 300 if I really wanted to, but these things have no glide. They're going to go straight and then they're going to go left. Super useful disc. Every company's got their super overstable mid-range. The M1 is certainly it for Prodigy. On to the ones I throw the most. These are the Proto M3s, which are now the M2s. This one's a little more beat up. I've had it in my bag for a while, maybe a year or two. And since they were released, this one's had a spot in my bag. It goes straight and then finishes. I throw these things quite a bit farther than the M1, maybe 325 or 330 if I want to put something on it. Again, I don't really like cranking on mid-ranges or putters, so I don't necessarily throw them that hard. The other one is kind of an SE, same mold. It's also the Proto M3, and this one's quite a bit more overstable. I throw it flat, and it'll go straight for maybe 300 feet, and then it really starts turning left. I can put this one definitely on some anhyzer, and when it comes out, it's always going to go left before it gets to the ground. Last mid-range is 400 series M4. This was one of the bleeder ones to start, and all that's worn off of it. It is straight to understable. If I put some hyzer on it, it'll flip up and go straight for a long way. This M4s go a lot farther than any other mid-range that I carry. I can probably throw this thing 350 or 360 if I really want to get into it. So it's definitely a turnover disc if you throw it flat. If you throw it with some hyzer, it can be a straight disc with a little bit of right turn at the end, but they're generally not going to come back left. This one's a little more beat up. I don't have another one in my bag right now, but I probably will here shortly. I have some more new ones that go quite a bit straighter than this. Fairway drivers. I have two F1s, one X out that's brand new, hasn't been in the bag very long, and it's really overstable. And then this Proto F1, it's 173. They're both 173. And the blue one's starting to definitely go straight with a little finish. These things don't go right when you throw them backhand. You can put anhyzer on them and they'll go right for 100 feet or 150 feet, but then they're definitely trying to fight to come out of it and go straight left. These things are maybe 360 to 370 foot backhand discs. but they're only going to go one way. They're going to go straight and then they're going to go left. Super useful. I throw this more than any other fairway driver. F2, Proto F2. This one a little less stable than the F1s, but this thing's still pretty new. It's also straight and then left disc. I can put some anhyzer on it and make it go right if I want, but it doesn't hold there the whole way. It definitely wants to fight back left. This one might go a touch farther. It stays in the air a little better than the F1s, might be just a touch faster, but probably same thing. I'm not really trying to throw it over 370, if that. I don't really like trying to kill stuff. I'd rather back off and throw something a little faster or throw a bigger hyzer with the fast disc if I need to. But for those tight shots in the woods where you need something to go straight and then left, the F2 goes straight a little farther than the F1 does. Next discs, I have a couple F3s, both 400 series. One's a Proto, one's not. These things are straight. Definitely, if you want to make them turn right, you can. Release them flat, and they're going to do a little bit of the right turn and then come back. If you want them to hold on an anhyzer the whole way, you can start them with a little bit of anti, and they're definitely going to go right. If you're in the woods, starting with a little bit of hyzer, they'll flip up and go straight. So they're not understable by any stretch of the imagination, but you can definitely make them go right if you want to. Next are my roller discs, a couple F7s, both 400 series, both heavy. The white one's 173 and the yellow one's 174. So these are both roller discs. Super easy to get down on roller angles, and they'll fight left for a long time before they go right the way I throw rollers. So super useful. I love the F7. It's probably my favorite understable fairway driver. I never even carried any until I got these F7s. I always just had something that was super dead and beat up to roll, but these things right out of the box, good roller discs. And then you can also throw air shots with them if you want to, release them with some hyzer, and they'll glide right for a long time. Utility discs, H-series stuff. I carry two H2s. The clear one is the one I throw most. It's starting to get a little beat up, but these are my sidearm discs. Anything, I don't throw sidearm a tremendously long way, so anything like 325 or under that I'm throwing sidearm with, it's definitely these H2s. That might even be pushing it a little for my sidearm, but accuracy with it's more important for me. These things at 300 feet, I'm really comfortable with. Just throw them flat and hard, and they're going to go right at the end. So those are my H2s. The pink one I don't throw much. I will if the clear one ever gets beat up or if I lose it. I carry one H1. These things are tanks. They only do one thing, and that's go. If you're throwing backhand, right hand, backhand, they're going left and down to the ground. If you're throwing sidearm, it better be some kind of trick shot because they're super overstable. This thing's got road rash all over it, and it's still the most stable disc in my bag. X1s, these are my kind of backhand hyzer discs, maybe 400-foot shots, 420-foot shots, maybe even a little more than that if I want to push it. This one's beat up and goes straight for a long time, and then we'll finish left at the end. This one's pretty new, goes straight and then left, definitely goes a little shorter than the one with the white stamp, but either way, these things aren't quite max distance drivers for me, but definitely in the 400 to 425 range. These are also my overhand discs. Anyone that's watched me play, I throw a lot of thumbers. These X1s definitely are as good a thumber discs as I've ever thrown. I can throw them about 325 overhand. Now distance drivers, I'll start with the least stable and go to the most stable. I've got one first run D4. Definitely use it as an anhyzer disc and sometimes a long roller if needed. These things stay in the air an incredibly long time, so even though it's understable, it doesn't roll over to the ground, which is very important for me when I'm throwing big turnovers. 400 series D3. This one's a little lighter. It's 170. This might actually be less stable than that D4 I have in my bag. I throw this thing only on huge, like high anhyzer shots and stuff. It doesn't get a lot of use, but it's in my bag just in case. Now my D1s. This is what I throw for the majority of my shots. First one's an old X out double stamp D1. I had this for a long time, and it's definitely understable. I throw it with hyzer, it pops up and glides right. Not like those two would, but definitely is an understable D1 for me. These D1s for me are in the 500-foot range. I throw D1s farther than anything I've ever had. So another one, 400G D1. This 400G plastic is awesome. It's got great feel to it. It's stiff, but at the same time, you don't lose grip on it no matter how wet it gets. You definitely just dry it off, and then it's super grippy again. This is my max distance driver. I throw this disc farther than anything else, in the 525 range probably. Open field, just trying to crush it, maybe a little more than that. But definitely 400G D1. This one's 173 grams, and it crushes. So then I have 2 overstable D1s. This green one I throw probably more than any disc I own. I like throwing big hyzers. This one works out for that. I can throw it as hard as I want with as much ante as I want, and it always comes back. So I can really get into this disc and make it go right, and it's gonna make sure it's an S turn at the end and come back. I can throw it high with ante. I can throw it low and straight. Either way, it's gonna go left. And then this purple one, kind of a backup to that one, just in case I were to throw that in the water or whatever. So same thing, very overstable D1. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Any questions about Prodigy discs, I'm super happy to be starting the year with them, and I hope you guys got something out of this. Thanks.